Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani and welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism and narcissistic relationships. If you're new to this channel, please join. Wonderful community. Hit that subscribe button. You'll know everything you want to know about narcissism and a lot more. Welcome back to those Proverbs. I love my Proverbs. I found this wonderful list of Proverbs from around the world, and today we're going to take on an Ethiopian proverb. Evil enters like a needle and spreads like an oak tree. Part of the fun is for you in this moment to say, I wonder where she's going with this, right? So what is this idea of evil enters like a needle and spreads like an oak tree? I think you kind of know where this goes in a narcissistic relationship, right? I suppose that sort of needly slide in is the love-bombed charisma, and then the rest, big old oak tree roots, right? This is such a true kind of a proverb and a grim reminder of how gradually narcissistic relationships can enter our worlds and literally wreak havoc. These relationships are rarely sort of cordoned off and only cause you problems within the narcissistic relationship. The presence of a narcissistic relationship can ruin your work life, your school life, your friendships, your finances, hijack your time, and overtake a lot of your life. Needle, oak tree. So how does this happen? The grand challenge out there is the tendency of the narcissistic folks in the world to rather sort of systematically target the most agreeable, empathic, and nice folks. If that's you, you have those characteristics, it's not as though people with these personalities are literally looking for you, but once they find you, they recognize that you're a soft target. Early on, once they detect that they aren't really being held to a high level of accountability, that justifications are being made by you, and that they're sort of being given an upper hand, they're going to stick around. They may even test the waters and threaten to leave. But when you ask them, oh, come back, or you take them back when they try to come back, you are then deemed a keeper by them. And then you see that revolving door of them sometimes threatening to leave and then coming back. Good days, bad behaviors, apologies, lather, rinse, repeat. If you do have a vulnerability to a trauma-bonded relationship, that up-down, good, bad, leaving and coming back dynamic is absolutely poisonous. Now, I know we have another video on this channel where we take on this idea of how time-consuming narcissistic relationships are. But it's more than that. These relationships are sort of like black mold, or again, the roots of an oak tree that starts spreading and kind of pull up the sidewalk and kind of break pipes and that kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, I love oak trees though. But let's break this down by different kinds of relationships. If this is your partner or your spouse, you can see that you're constantly having to keep up with the shape-shifting and the chaos that is one of these relationships. What does that do? It pulls you out of your game. You're not as present, for example, with your children or other people you may care about. You may be more distractible with work or school. It's really hard to just pop back into work mode after having a gaslighted mess of a conversation with a narcissistic partner. You know how narcissistic folks always create chaos before important events or travel. So you may screw up a test at school, for example, because of their argumentativeness. You might even be late to the airport or miss your flight. Your family events may be ruined by their tantrums and their need for control or their commitment to isolating you. Your finances may be a mess because of their financial control, their financial impulsivity, or their overall fiscal irresponsibility. Once you take stock of your life while you are in or shortly after you get out of a narcissistic relationship, you may really be struck by what a mess your life has become. It's not just the hurt and the emotional abuse, it is a much, much bigger mess that's been left in the wake of that relationship. Now, if this is your parent, well, the damage began early. You may still be full of doubt or shame or have trouble exerting your individuality. You may feel tentative when it comes to goals. You may find yourself recreating the trauma-bonded cycles again and again in adult relationships, and yet not feel connected to or be drawn to people who would be good for you. The self-doubt and self-blame that these relationships create can be a painful lifelong legacy. They can rob you of your capacity to find joy in your life, and life can really feel like you're living in constant ambivalence. Many survivors of narcissistic parents hold themselves back from pursuing careers, educations, from moving away, from trying things that matter to them. That toxic internalized voice of the narcissistic parent can leave a person feeling that they do not have the right to do what works for them. That can thwart an entire life. Think about it. Think about being a kid and being invalidated or just watching the chaos in your home. You were often distracted at school even as a kid, right? And the narcissistic boss, just the loss of sleep alone is enough of a blast zone, right? The holidays ruined by their poor boundaries, the sleepless nights, the nervousness, the rumination. And all of this can mean that you are distracted from your children or your relationship, that you spend less time with friends, that you miss out on joyful experiences. You may also waste years in a job in a toxic company or with a toxic boss and not get the kinds of promotions or raises that you deserve, which can put you behind financially in life or make it harder to move into another position that pays you right. You may also put many, many years into a position with a toxic boss just to get shafted and not get the benefits of all that time. This can affect you, your family, your health benefits, how you support yourself later in life. And don't underestimate narcissistic friends. You may listen to their BS all the time, do the things they want, live on their schedule, put up with their flakiness, and without them ever being there for you. You may ruminate and do things for them to the neglect of stuff you need to do. You may loan them money, which they kind of feel entitled to, and you're never going to get back. Their poor boundaries can wreak havoc in your life, and friendships are tricky. We kind of use them as lower stakes places, but they can be very impactful, especially if you are at a stage in life where friends are more central than family or a partner. You can give up a lot of bandwidth in a toxic relationship because manipulation's manipulation, doesn't matter who's doing it, and it messes with our head regardless of the type of relationship it is. So yes, evil or narcissism can enter like a needle, a nice love-bombed or trauma-bonded hole that lets them in, and with time, the damage can overtake a life. Many people walk out of narcissistic relationships, not just hurt and wounded by what happened, but looking at the wreckage of their lives and asking, what the hell just happened? It's not just one thing, it's everything. And because narcissistic people feel limited guilt for other people, they have no problem galloping off into the sunset and leaving you having to handle that mess. Or telling you that it's all your fault, and they often have a choir of enablers singing backup on their blame deflection. This proverb is very wise, and so the key may be to be aware of who is around you. Trust your instincts, and don't just write this off as a difficult relationship. It's a dropped match that becomes a wildfire, needle-sized evil that sends deep roots through all of your life. Thanks again.